The speech we chose for our group project is from the classic American novel To Kill a Mockingbird, written by Harper Lee. Now, this novel takes place in the Deep South in the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama in the 1930s, when racial tensions were very high. Now, basically, the plot of this book is Tom Robinson, a black field hand within the town, is accused of raping a white girl by the name of Mayella Ewell. And Mayella Ewell is the daughter of Bob Ewell, who's basically the town drunk, racist, and he's someone who represents the dark side of the South in that he's very ignorant, he's poverty stricken, and he's hate filled with racial prejudice. Now, Atticus Finch is a prominent town lawyer who's pulled in to defend Tom Robinson in the case that's coming up to decide if Tom Robinson is innocent. Now, in the weeks leading up, Atticus and his family endures much abuse and hatred because many in the town believe that Tom Robinson is guilty and all Negro men are basically bad. So, Atticus gives a speech in his closing argumentative address to the court when he delivers this groundbreaking speech challenging Southern social norms, racial prejudice, and fiery emotions within the courtroom.
So throughout the speech, Atticus Finch uses creative language and a specific structural style to persuade the jury and the individuals present to believe his stance on the case. He utilizes different things as personification, alliteration, and repetition to demonstrate and enlighten his points towards Tom Robinson's plea for innocence. So one example of this style is personification, in which he uses kind of like human characteristics to define certain things. In one instance, he says, "No code mattered to her before she broke it, but it came crashing down on her afterwards." Obviously, a code can't come crashing down on her, but he uses this to really emphasize and enlighten his point that before this, she didn't really experience any sort of issues. Another style is alliteration, in which obviously two contrasting statements are used to create a better, more clear idea. In one instance, he says, "In our courts, all men are created equal. I'm no idealist to believe firmly in the integrity of our courts and our jury system. That's no ideal to me. That is a living, working reality." So obviously, he uses contrasting ideas about his beliefs and then reality to kind of combine into this greater concept. The last style he uses is repetition, in which he repeats different phrases over and over and over again to again just further greaten his point. He says that all Negroes lie, all Negroes are basically immoral beings, all Negro men are not to be trusted around our women. So basically, he says this over and over and over again to make it clear that society today really does not appreciate the Negro man, but for false reasons. Lastly, he uses a kind of structural style, almost like a backwards triangle, in which he starts off with a really general overarching idea and dwindles it down to kind of a personal opinion and stance on the case. First, he sets up what has happened, provides effective and efficient context of the charges in the case. Then, next paragraph, he talks about the opposition, and he talks about how what their ideas are and what they stated, but then he uses that as a crux to kind of attack them and attack their ideas. Thirdly, he states his own idea on the case and then states his outward argument for the case and for Tom Robinson's plea for innocence. Lastly, he ties it in with an overarching concluding statement on the integrity and characteristics of this nation's courts. He attacks a specific point in this nation and in this nation's court systems.
Atticus uses Aristotle's proofs, which are logos, ethos, and pathos. He opens up his speech giving a background of the court case, and also he brings about an idea that all the people in the courtroom agree on. By doing that, he's gaining credibility with the people who are in the courtroom, which will help him further along in the case when people are going to vote on if they think Tom Robinson is guilty or not. He uses logos, ethos, and pathos all at once when he says the unmitigated temerity of a black man feeling sorry for a white woman. Logically, no black man would ever feel sorry for a white woman in these times because they were thought of as less than what a white person was. So there would be really no reason for a black man to feel sorry for a white woman. Ethos, he gives background about who the black man is as a person, that he's respectable, quiet, and humble. By doing this, he's giving credibility for himself and Tom at the same time, because he's helping Tom become an actual person with the people who are in the audience. And then he uses pathos by, when he gives a background on Tom, he's trying to get the audience to feel for Tom and give them like a reason to vote and realize that he was not guilty. And then he says, "Now, gentlemen, great level are all men are created equal. I'm no idealist to believe firmly in the integrity of our courts and of our jury system. That's no ideal to me. That's a living, working reality." Um, Logically, he talks about the court, how they should be um, unbiased, and how everything in the courtroom should be equal and fair and unbiased. And he also is realistic on the subject with the people in the crowd, because he says he doesn't agree with everything, and um, although he should be with the court since he's working for the court as a lawyer, he is realistic with the audience because that would help him later on in his case. His delivery, he emphasizes a lot of certain words, like when he yells temerity, and he pauses multiple times throughout his speech to really like give emphasis on what he's saying and to give people time to think about what he's saying. His tone of voice changes a lot of times. When he talks about Tom Robinson, you can really feel what he is feeling on the inside by how he speaks about him. And his body language is changing a lot of times during the speech. He raises his arms sometimes, he puts them in his pockets, he puts them down by his side, he looks around the room, and then the entire time he's speaking, he's walking around talking to everyone in the room.
Okay, now, so again, as I stated before, we chose this speech because it's basically a great example of how a speaker can utilize historical context, a relevant issue, the issue of race, and various creative language and instructional organizations to demonstrate his point. And now Atticus does a great job of this. He's in his speech. He's almost demonstrating a perfect style of delivery, structure, and language. And some examples of this is like his speech is about 3 minutes long, but you could probably read it in 30 seconds. He really slows down his speech and emphasizes words and makes the whole courtroom hear what he has to say and kind of takes control of the whole entire room. And as stated again before, the speech embodies many of Aristotle's proofs, and Atticus does this in order to strengthen his argument that Tom Robinson is an innocent man, and that all men should be treated equally and fairly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.